Some of the experience from Resolution, who's still farming up some of these neutrals. I doubt they're going to have the opportunity to go for the kill because Always Want to Fly is actually sitting in the middle lane, recovering that experience. So if Queen of Pain tried to make a rotation over with the Bounty Hunter to gank that SF, they would be sorely disappointed by a heal and Shallow Grave.
Man, that courier snipe is having such a big impact on the game right now because AUI almost has his max. Sumail, he had treads. He could have been able to dive the Shadow Fiend pretty safely, but now as it stands, Resolution is pretty much unassailable in this mid lane, and he's catching up pretty rapidly to the Queen of Pain. So Sumail, yes, he has the lead still, but when it comes to net worth, he could have been even further ahead than he is right now.
Resolution probably goes for the early mech right on the SF in order to deal with the mech on Enigma, just to kind of even out that advantage.
Yeah, it's also just because you don't want to be going for Eul Scepter in this game, I think. It doesn't really do too much for you. You want to be able to heal through the burst that EG have at the same time. Like, you need something to cut through the Queen of Pain ultimate.
Yoki, he's kind of moving around. He's just not having too many opportunities at this top lane anymore, especially with Fear about to pick up his level 8. He now has that Mana Void to throw out. He is going to be going for the early Battle Fear, not terribly surprising. He's not going treads first because he's just feeling no pressure whatsoever and doesn't even have an offlaner to try and push up against. So he looks like he's just going to go raw Battle Fury.
I think we talked about this the other day too, is that or earlier in the draft is when you're playing against an anti-mage, you need to get as big of a lead as possible over the Stormsphere because there's going to be a weird timing where Storm is really good against your hero, and then it drops off again once the anti-mage gets 2 or 3 slotted, where the Storm pretty much can't engage unless he sees the anti-mage. Yeah. So it's really important that Fear gets about as good of a start as he possibly can.
Yeah, and it all comes down to that Manta, right, which is both the defensive and offensive pressure on the Storm Spirit. Deals with the Orchid, but also obviously allows you to burst through his mana real quickly.
It is a little bit on Empire to try to pressure off Fear, because there's not a whole lot of counters to Fear late game. Like I just said, the Storm Spirit isn't great against him because the turnaround potential of the Mana Void is insane.
Right.
The Night Stalker will eventually fall off. Like, the Silence is cute early game, but it does drop off once you have a Manta or a BKB. Same with the Earthshaker. The magic damage isn't going to do much. Dazzle's one of the weaker offensive heroes. And the Shadow Fiend, you don't want to be in a position where you're getting kited by an AM. So
too bad Universe isn't level 6. They're still going to go for this kill, though. AUI just eats through the trees real quickly. Silent is going to come over, but it's 4 heroes. So Aloha Dance is 100% dead. This does give the level 6 over to Universe, but now the Black Hole's laid out. They managed to kill the Bounty Hunter. Silent is still very much alive, especially with Always Want to Fly making his way over. He's ready for the Shallow Grave, and that means Silent probably feels very healthy to move forward and go for AUI. And now they're going to chase away the rest of the heroes as well. PPD actually feels brave enough to throw out one of his nukes. Sumail is forced to a blink back there. And all around, that was a great reaction from Empire.
Yeah, the Dazzle just waited back. Always Want to Fly was in position, but he wanted to make absolute sure that the play he was making was a guaranteed save. So he waits for the Storm to get initiated on, and that's the second Black Hole of the game used, and no result. And I think that was a pretty significant investment by EG just to kill a Night Stalker, because you lose your Enigma, who has a lot more net worth and is on his way to a pretty fast mechanism. So now you slow down the safe lane push that they originally wanted to go for at the same time.
Yoki is still getting some farm here and there versus the Anti-Mage. I like the build-up of the Soul Ring and Tranquil Boots, particularly against an AM who you don't want to be stacking. You just don't want to be relying on the mana from Arcane Boots. It's just not good enough. So you could afford to set it just basically no mana, Soul Ring, and instantly Fissure. You'll get a little bit of CS here and there, but you'll also not leave yourself without any way to recover that mana versus an Anti-Mage, who would just naturally keep you low all the time if you win Arcanes.
Yeah, I don't think many Earthshakers go Arcanes anymore anyways.
Yeah.
It's just this is the safer build.
I think it's only if you do really well as an offlane Earthshaker that you should go Arcanes.
Yeah, I actually see Bottle more than I see Arcanes nowadays. I think some of the Chinese teams run it. And I like it a little bit more, but
I felt like the pickup a lot, especially since Earthshaker is one of the few heroes who has an impact as a roamer early on from the offlane position. Like Spirit Breaker and Tusk can also do it, but Earthshaker, he can like always go to the offlane rune and put pressure potentially on the middle lane at the same time.
So Storm's going to go for the Bloodstone here, and he's got so much farm. I think the correct move is for them to actually kind of pressure. It's about to hit nighttime. If you just head up to this top lane, you've got a mech completed on your Shadow Fiend, and you want to force the AM to go to the jungle at this point in the game, because it's really inefficient for him to farm the jungles, and he's not going to go to the off lane in case of the pressure. So EG is responding by sending bottom.
Aloha Dance is dead. They blow him up nice and quick. Sumail just makes that TP. They get a track kill. And actually bring Sumail pretty close to the Yule Scepter.
Yeah, he really likes this build. And if you pay attention to Empire's heroes, it's really going to be hard for them to lock him down when he's got that Yule Scepter, because it almost refreshes the blink cooldown timing, but Empire's going to get this tier 1 for free. There's almost no chance that EG want to defend this. That glyph is just to use the glyph.
And this is pretty important. Like, versus a Bounty Hunter, you need to try and stay grouped up. Not only because Bounty Hunter is not a terribly strong teamfight hero early on, but also because you just naturally are going to be looking for pickoffs when you have that track available. So I like the fact that they grouped up in the top lane. Obviously, Aloha Dance got picked, but it's still just a support for now. They just can't let that happen too many more times.
Yeah. Right now, EG, they're farming at the enemy jungle. This is the trade-off, is that you give up your tier 1 but get to farm the jungle. But something that's really scary right now is Empire's hitting the sick timing where they've got the levels that they need on the heroes that they need. And Resolution has a mech. He's also got an Ogre Club, and they pop the dust.
Nice. There's Silence actually going to go for PPD. They turn on Universe instead. A higher priority kill, to be sure, and it seemed like the easier one anyway. So the tier 1 tower, it's just evil geniuses are not able to fight them at all. They are just going to have to give up tower after tower in exchange for more farming time.
Yeah, there's almost no chance that AUI is going to get a reliable black hole.
Are they going to be able to defend this tower? Looks like it. Resolution comes forward pretty confident that he'll be able to clear through these. Gets the deny as well. That was a pretty big, like, no hero died there, but that was a pretty big, like, net worth swing for not a single hero going down. They take the middle tower, they deny the bottom one, and they even, like, clean up a bunch of creeps and eidolons.
Yeah, right now Empire moving really well as a team. They're not really giving up anything that they have to, and their team is getting really farmed. Yoki's almost got his Blink Dagger. He's reasonably close to it. If they still have one more tier 1 tower to go, and they're going to apply pressure to it sooner than later with the mech. As long as they have that mech on the Shadow Fiend and they know that the Enigma is behind in farm, then they can just continue to pressure on the map.
It is midnight in Dota time. Aloha Dance. Perfect time for them to be able to gank up Fear.
They know Fear's there now, too.
With a smoke, they realize, okay, the smoke is popped. They see Fear. They're going to make the jump in, grab him, silence him up. They chain the stuns a little bit too much, perhaps. Fear is still going to go down, though. It's just too much damage out from a Storm Spirit.
That was so crucial. They actually did, like you said, stack up the stuns, but they do manage to get it at the end. But if that hadn't succeeded, they would have been really disappointed. But by applying pressure onto the anti-mage like that, it means that Resolution is going to feel really free to continue pushing this mid lane. And EG don't have the best way to deal with him once he gets his BKB, which he's incredibly close to.
Now, he is not going for the Orchid build that you kind of wanted to see on the Storm Spirit. He is going to be going for the Bloodstone instead. What does that kind of tell you, the difference between the two items?
I think it kind of speaks to the fact that Empire is comfortable against this anti-mage because they know that he's not going to get a Battle Fury Manta pretty soon. And I think they realize that EG don't want to get into straight 5v5 fights. You don't want to bring the anti-mage this early on into the game, into the mix, because you just need him to split farm, split push. But, I mean, we talked about it. If anti-mage farms in a vacuum, you expect to see 13-minute treads.
Yeah, 13-minute, like I would say the old timing that I still remember from Dota 1 is average timing is 13-minute Battle Fury, no treads. With treads, it's 15 minutes. You can get it faster than that, but that's kind of like the average pro timing.
Yeah, so it's important that they were able to get that. And PPD has his Winter's Curse. They're hoping that Aloha Dance isn't the first target, and Silent, he's got to just run away.
Well, that's perfectly fine, I think, for Empire.
They're
like, once
so
again, they sacrificed Aloha Dance. That would have been a huge play if they'd gotten Silent. But
so
Silent
close.
now will be able to complete his Bloodstone because he didn't get picked off.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Because if he had gotten killed there, what is that? Another 2 minutes tacked onto that Bloodstone timing?
And obviously, the earlier you get that Bloodstone, you could start snowballing that. Now he feels very confident just aggressively cutting the creep wave in middle as Resolution also took that tier 1 tower in the bottom lane. That tower actually gave them 2 significant items. Completes the Bloodstone and completes the BKB.
If you're playing as pretty much any mobile hero that struggles to stay alive, if you're wondering how Silent's able to just roll into the middle of that creep wave and do what he just did is all you have to pay attention to is where the Winter Wyvern is. Because if you're taking a look at AG's lineup, the only thing that's going to disable you for any amount of time that'll actually get you killed is the Winter's Curse.
Yeah.
There's no instant stuns or anything like that.
Which is exactly why PPD is trying to go through the trees here in order to get that surprise initiation, and they got him. Silent will end up going down here. He did complete his Bloodstone. He already bought the recipe a while ago. It just didn't get out to him. So that's actually kind of perfect timing, right? You complete the Bloodstone, but you didn't have it in your inventory to lose those charges.
Yeah, it was really well played by EG setting up for that. He thought that he had vision of where PPD was, but PPD, it's a surprise attack. You never see the Arctic Burn coming in. Fear, we were a little bit concerned about his farm, but that's really cool. AUI was tanking it using the Cold Embrace.
And that just gave Fear free area just to be able to get to those right clicks. And now they kind of separate the damage between multiple heroes because they also have the mech. So they actually completely cleared through that Ancient stack. They did it as a team, but it was still Fear who got most of the bounty, even if he had to split the experience.
Yeah. Oftentimes you'll see the Anti-Mage go for the Vlads just so he can do the Ancient stacks and the jungles more reliably by himself. But against a Storm and a Night Stalker, I think it's just necessary to get the Manta as fast as you possibly can.
He saw Always Want to Fly. And do they actually know that there's wards here? Doesn't look like it. Bottom lane, Resolution, threatened a little bit. He does have the BKB and 10 Magic Stick charges, so I'm sure he's going to be fine.
Yeah, he was kind of hoping that maybe the Queen of Pain could force him to get his BKB, but Resolution felt pretty confident. His team was nearby him, too. But
now there's a double damage. The bottom rune, they're going to save that for Resolution. So he actually almost gets backed up to full HP.
Oh, this is another smoke by EG, and they really want to look for one or two pickoffs because they know that Empire is playing a little bit too aggressively, and they're split pushing a lot because they're really confident that their cores are unkillable. Silent requires the Winter's Curse, but he's not going to see this coming, and Universe actually knows that he's there, but he has to run
he's already
away.
Killed the camp, so he just will naturally start retreating unless he goes to the side shop. PPD trying to get in range of that one. They're not going to get it. There's no way. There was no surprise factor there anymore once he got himself into lane. Yeah. So they don't even go for it. They also had the opportunity to go for Yoki in the middle lane. He was farming up his Zero Shaker, but the problem is he has his Blink Dagger. So they don't really care about his farm progression too much. So smoke on him is kind of like a smoke kill on Aloha Dance at that point. It's just not really worth it.
It was so huge that they could have, if they could have gone silent, that might have meant a kill into a tower, and PPD, he's firing spells off, but he knows he's in vision. Empire just looking for the trade. They're okay if this tier 2 tower goes down, but I don't think EG want to overcommit because they know that Yoki has that Blink Dagger. If he didn't have that Blink Dagger, maybe they can just all-in commit for it, but as a result, they have to just let it get denied and be satisfied with that. But I like that EG is still not overcommitting. They understand that they've got a lot of different ways to close the distance, and it's not even like they're very far behind. 1k gold when you have a Bounty Hunter on your team and an Anti-Mage who will naturally outfarm everybody is not a deficit.
Yeah, time goes on. Eventually, the Anti-Mage will step over the SF's net worth. And then if there's a team fight that goes wrong for Empire, then EG just massively get ahead because of Bounty Gold. So they just time in general is fine for evil geniuses. That you can just sit back, wait patiently for Empire to make a mistake, or maybe play too passive and not objective-based enough, and EG will retake the advantage. But for now, I'm sure they also feel a little bit of pressure as Empire have been playing very well so far. Very few mistakes, I would say, from Empire. Really great coordination, and their strategy has been on point.